Bowel.
Yance.
Yance.
Ferry.
Ferry.
Irsyad.
Irsyad.
Musda.
Musda.
Ayu.
Ayu.
Ridwan.
Ridwan.
Budi.
Budi. Zebra. Zebra.
Ferdian.
Ferdian.
Abel.
Abel.
Dani. Sekali lagi.
Dani.
Kita undang yang lain untuk gabung. Mari. Dengan cepat bergabung. Dia.
Dia.
Iksan.
Ihsan.
Palti.
Pati.
Bandri.
Bandri.
Zainal.
Zainal.
Ega.
Ega.
Karen.
Karen.
Sultan.
Sultan.
Siswa.
Siswa.
Vini.
Vini.
Husni.
Husni.
Tara.
Tara.
Ayu.
Ayu.
Tepuk tangan. Masih dalam lingkaran, saya ingin teman-teman menyebutkan beberapa hewan, gitu ya. Boleh? Atau nah, sayangnya saya tidak punya sepeda buat dibagi, gitu. Apakah Husni bisa menyebut satu hewan?
Kucing.
Bunyinya gimana? Miau. Mbak Tara bisa menyebut satu binatang?
Tikus,
Bunyinya? Ayu?
gajah,
Bunyinya?
slompret,
Oke, gajah bunyinya slompret. Mbak Wiwin?
anjing,
Bunyinya?
guk guk,
Oke. Jadi kita ulangin bunyinya saja.
miau, slompret,
Guk guk. Nah, nanti silakan ikuti gitu ya. Urutannya menyebutkan suara kucing, tikus, gajah, dan anjing. Sekali lagi.
miau, cicit, slompret, guk guk, miau, cicit, slompret,
Miau. Cucut. Miau. Sompret.
miau,
Sompret.
Oke, kalau saya sebut nama binatangnya silahkan berbunyi. Oke, kucing, tikus, gajah, anjing. Kalau saya sebut kebun binatang, ya asik. Oke, saya ingin memberi ini tugas singkat 5 menit gitu. Silakan berkumpul dulu menurut ininya, menurut suaranya. Oke. Anjing, tikus, kucing, gajah. Oke. Saya akan memberi tugas gitu untuk teman-teman di kelompok. Silahkan kita coba 5 menit dulu. 5 menit, kalau tidak nanti kita beri waktu lebih banyak. Teman-teman gajah, silahkan mendiskusikan dalam situasi apa mediasi dibutuhkan. Gitu ya. Teman-teman tikus mana? Tikus, silahkan mendiskusikan dalam situasi apa mediasi tidak dibutuhkan. Oke? Teman-teman anjing. Gajah udah. Teman-teman anjing silahkan buat list gitu ya. Apa ciri mediator yang baik? Kemudian teman-teman kucing membuat list apa ciri mediator yang tidak baik. Jelas?
Jelas.
Oke. Silahkan mencari tempat. Saya akan datang membawa kertas. Kebun binatang. Oke, silahkan bekerja.
Karena tidak mungkin dia di
Mohon dituliskan dalam bahasa Inggris ya. Nanti wakil dari kelompok akan mempresentasikannya ke imam dan pastor.
Kekerasan gitu ya, berlangsungnya konflik gitu.
Tadi yang Mbak bilang tadi benar. Kadang-kadang ada situasi.
Jika kedua belah pihak
Kelompok mana yang masih butuh waktu silakan angkat tangan. Wah, tidak ada yang angkat tangan, nantinya semua sudah selesai. Oke, semua kelompok nampaknya sudah siap. Dalam kondisi apa kita membutuhkan dan tidak membutuhkan mediasi? Apakah wakil dari dua kelompok bisa ke depan sini membawa tulisannya? Oke, kita panggil imam dan pastor. Imam?
Waduh.
Lagi kalian.
Majuin lagi dong. Saya mundurin. Majuin.
We decided that for this session we want to stand up because it's
Yep. So we're from the elephant group. That's the sound of the 11 elephant according to them. So we discuss about in what conditions we do need mediations. We agreed that we need mediations in a conflict where there is heightened violence, a conflict that has been protracted. So within this setting, there is a high level of distrust, but mediation can work effectively if, even though they have a high level of distrust, actually they also hope, they also have the desire to solve the problem, and this kind of hope should be present in both sides. Besides that conditions, we also need mediations in cases where the conflicting parties have settled their differences, but they need to reach out to the government to kind of produce or to make a certain policy needed for a much more sustainable solutions. So mediator is needed by these parties to reach out and to negotiate to the policymakers, which is the government. Yeah, I guess that's.
Okay. Next we have the mice, right? Yeah. Who's the mouse in chief? Who's the mouse in chief? From Ayu to Ayu.
Salam tikus-tikus kantor. Ada OI di sini. Sorry, Indonesian joke. It's a very famous song about. It's called the Office. Mice in the Office. It's basically a song from a very famous Indonesian singer. It's about the corruptions that happens in the bureaucracy. So they call it the bureaucrats that's corrupt is mices. So what are the situations that mediation are not needed? The first one is when we're in peace, so we don't need mediation. The second one is when the crisis is in the peak of the violence. So mediation will be needed, but later, after the physical intervention to stop the casualty. The third one is when both parties that having conflicts are willing or and able to solve their own problem. And the fourth one that we didn't dare to write is mediation are not needed when we are the conflict entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Thank you for being so candid. Next, we asked some groups to make a list on what is a good mediator and what is a bad mediator. So who wants to go first? The good ones or the bad ones? Bad ones. Okay. Which group is this? Who's the
Memang kucing ini pembaru ya.
Sama identitas sendiri nih.
Who's the cat in chief?
I just wanna list or
Kucing garong.
Ten Commandments.
yeah, we put it. We put the title here: 10 bad characteristic of mediator. So 10 commandment of bad mediator. First, taking side. Second, don't listen. Third, directing. Fourth, egoistical. Intimidating. Forcing opinion. Directing. Dictating. Smart aleck. Sok tahu. Discriminatory and insensitive. Thank you. Meow.
Last but not least, the good ones.
Pegang aja.
Okay. For a good mediator, we identify several qualities or attributes that basically the opposite of a bad mediator. First is neutral, impartial, and he has to be an active listener, good listener, unassuming, without prejudice, and but he has to have ability to also understand. He or she has we don't have different pronouns for gender here in Indonesia, so he or she has to be ability to find root. So listen is important, but also understand the problem also important. Patient, trustworthy, empathetic, and having empathy, and also credible. You have to have credibility or authority. So when people ask you, who are you to ask to make peace or mediate us? So Pastor James and Ima Safa and Father Jeki has this credibility. Budeng has this credibility because
You always forget the women.
maybe if I'm the mediator, people won't listen to me because I'm not a religious leader. I haven't been in conflict before, so I don't have this credibility. Resourceful, and last but not least is sensitive.
What do you mean by resource?
Thank you. Kebun binatang. Kebun binatang. Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone wants to add to the list? Anyone wants to comment on the list? Anyone wants to comment on the list? Or
Can I ask more to the
Yes.
what is it? The last group. What do you mean by resourceful here? I am not a rich person, so okay. I can't be a mediator because of that.
can you
It's
be
unfair.
resourceful when you're poor?
Yeah.
That's the question basically. So who wants to answer?
Guguk.
Ini selesaiin di kantor aja.
Jadi kamu tidak berikan resource yang penuh.
Very resourceful.
Yeah, you have to offer something to the resolution of the conflict. Listening is important, not unassuming is important, but you have to offer something. You have to have a resource, knowledge about conflict mediation, knowledge about values of each both conflicting parties, for example, and maybe money and time also.
And also the other very important is about about time. So Pastor James and also Imam Safa have a time to mobile. So if you didn't have sourceful about time, they cannot do it. They cannot do to remote place if they didn't have that source of time. And
Okay.
but
Anyone wants to add?
that's our question.
Oh, it's a test actually.
Oh, no, that's Guguk.
Okay.
I have one
Sure.
very practical question. How long do you expect to have all the capacity? Yeah. And all the challenge on the process of having it. Because learning from the empirical experience, you have to sacrifice yourself. It costs a lot.
Yeah.
You must be brave to.
I mean,
punya nyali. Nah, itu yang ada syaratnya punya nyali.
Have a gut.
Yeah.
Have a gut.
Okay. Other comments? Other addition? Other questions? Yes, please.
My question, my question is sometimes in conflict situation there are two parties conflicting each other, and sometimes it's difficult to find a mediator. So how we solve problem like this?
Okay. Can we collect them so that Pastor and Imam can then weave in the answers to those in their presentation? So, any other concerns? Any other specific things you want to know from this session?
It's more like comment.
Okay.
I think for good mediator, there is one quality that they should have, which is creative. I mean, like usually, we see like only one or two solutions, but we try to find many alternatives, not only being trapped only to possibility win or lose situations. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thinking out of the box, having a lot of ideas, being creative and such.
Thank you. In the when is the time to do mediation and not? There's an answer that says when the conflict is on its peak, then it's not the time to do the mediations. I've never been in a huge conflict before. I was just wondering. So what is the indicators actually? When is the right time that we know that this is the really good time to start the mediation?
Okay. When is the good time to do mediation? Other thoughts, questions, additions? Yes, please.
Questions. So probably a lot of the time when conflict happens, there's no like formal governmental sent mediators. Like sometimes it's just like pastors and imams who are normal civilians that are willing to step up and do their duty. So probably my question is, how do we build that sense of responsibility from people that, hey, I'm part of the society, then I need to do something to also resolve this issue?
What can we do so that a lot of civilians can step up to the call and become mediators or contribute to the transformation of the conflict?
My question also has to do with last night's movie. when we talk about mediation, sometimes we're looking for that moment, looking for the mediations process. I want to know more about the pre-mediations process. Like, how can you get people that have high level of distrust to actually want to meet in the middle before the moment? Maybe it's not the moment that we find; it's the moment that we create. So how can we create that moment?
Okay. Maybe it's not about waiting for the right moment, it's about creating the right moment. And how do we create that moment? How do we convince people who want to kill each other that they can indeed sit together and talk together? Other thoughts?
Yeah.
Bapak and then Ibu.
I have thought, this is my experience in my team. There's a conflict with, actually in the same religious community, Christians. So, but the one is have a belief to the mediator is a Muslim, right? So, and this one disagree. I don't want Muslim as a mediator because there is a text in the Bible. If you have conflict between you, don't go to unbeliever or something like that. So she take that course. So finally, there is no mediation finally. So it's my experience.
Okay, thank you. Sometimes it's difficult for people to embark on mediation because they distrust the person mediating, right? Or they believe, and that belief comes from their interpretation of the book.
A question. As being a good mediator and having resources, having connections, having a network, is that one of the main points that you need to be a good mediator? And like Pastor and Imam, because they've been at it for so many years, Pastor of course knows all the network in the church, and Imam all the networks in the Islamic community, and probably government, and probably NGOs and international organizations. Is that a main point in being a good mediator?
Okay. How big of a resource of a network and stuff do you have to have to be a good mediator, to be a resourceful mediator? Any last comments and thoughts before I let Pastor and Imam to share their thoughts? I guess everyone can't wait to hear.
Yeah, we can't wait.
So, who will go first? I was told that you will be leading this session, and Pastor will later on.
Yeah, because I'm going to lead in this session.
Yes.
And this session is my session. I would like him now to say what he feels he wants to say in advance before I take over from him, so that he can respond to some of these important issues generally, apart from the question and answers from what you have put together. Maybe he can respond to some of these things before we move to the real proper activity.
Okay.
Thank you, including some.
Can we ask the participants to sit so that they can write notes and stuff?
Yeah,
Please
but
take a
before
seat.
then, please, can you still stand? Yes. Thank you. I was told that when you stand, the longer you stand, the longer you live. So, as we are standing, we live longer. Having said that, it is our tradition. I know you have prayed, but our tradition is when we come to a country or to a people, we connect to our divinity by observing silence. Now, the silence also could mean you could move your lips, but don't allow your voice to overshadow the voice of your next neighbor, because the neighbor may want to be in dead silence. You may be a little audible, but be compassionate in your prayers. Do no harm. Think of the other as we want the other to think of you. We also realize that when we go to do mediation, people are tensed up, and people may belong to 2 or 3 or 4 faiths. Now, which faith do you say should pray first? When you give the chance, if you are a Christian, you give a chance to a Christian, say, oh,
superiority. He thinks Christians are the best, so he should start the prayer. If you give it to a Muslim, you say, aha, superiority. He thinks the Islam is better, so he gave it to the Muslims. So in order to be equal, and we also realize that in some communities, when you are praying, somebody will be fiddling with his phone. He does not believe in your prayer because some of the words you offer is shirk to him. It also may be an abominable word to him or her. So in that regard, we say, okay, this creator that we all pray to has trillions and quintillions of ears to listen to all prayers at the same time. So can we all connect to our divinity at the same time? And in that, you get everybody doing the prayer. And nobody hold his phone or her phone, and everybody is praying. So we observe that as the way of starting the healing. So can we also commit the program, especially our session and other sessions coming, and thank the Creator for what happened the previous days, and present a new demand, a new charter of demand to the Almighty Creator of what you want these other remaining days to be. So can we observe 1 minute as we all communicate to our divinity? Sure. Okay, it starts now. Thank you. You know, some will have said amen. You know, he said his amen loud. And I can say amen.
I don't say amen. I say amen.
So, you see the problem now? I say amen.
Say amen.
Now, that's another challenge. You can say your amen in your heart. The other person will say his amen in his heart. But then sometimes also some people want to pray longer. You can say thank you, you may continue to pray, but we are on my side we are done. But usually people will always want to end with everybody. So once again, we really thank you for this session. And I understand when Ibo then was taking notes, she said, this will be in my session. There was something you say, your session will be handling. Yeah. So yeah, you said that. I think I heard you. One thing. So we didn't want to go to say a lot about what you want to say because you are the best to say it. Shukran.
Excuse me. You can say your own. Everybody have the right to blow his own trumpet. So blow your own trumpet now.
My saxophone is filled with saliva. It cannot sound. But let me say something. I think musicians are here, they like saxophone. But I think generally speaking, what I understand, you are quite versatile. And from the contribution we know we are talking to professionals, we are talking to those who are in certain level. We feel strongly that we just share our field experience as to when the tension is high. What do you do as a mediator? We usually will go on the air and begin to talk to people from the faith. We use divine intimidation strategy. And if you believe, am I fast? No. Divine intimidation strategy. And that is to say, Allah said, thou shalt not kill. God said, and it will be in the radio, there will be jingles. It begins to prepare the people down before you come to the mediation. Because the bullet does not understand a mediator. When it is flying, it may hit the mediator.
They would love to
sit down.
Be able to
she is very compassionate. All right, but can we sit down, please? Thank you. Sorry, Prof, I forgot.